everybody. Welcome to today's live stream. I'm glad that I can join some of you just in time for your lunch. And yes, I like being able to take a look at both the Rotten Tomatoes score and the Thursday night box office in the lives. I didn't get to do it for Superman, but I'm glad that I'm able to do it for Fantastic Four. I was traveling for Superman. Hey, Danny. And Ben 10. Bon anniversaire, right? You're in France, as I recall. So I did not get to see Fantastic Four yet. I was unable to attend the press screening last night. So I will be seeing it on Thursday, and my review will go up Thursday late afternoon, early evening, and then my coverage will continue as usual. Oh, I got it right. Ben 10's in France. I love it. But we have quite a bit to discuss. I'm very excited to go through it. I think we have three amazing stories. And as always, I'm glad that you're joining me for them. If you're a member and you can be in the chat, fantastic. If you're just watching, I love that too. I'm so glad that you're here. And we'll do a couple of polls so that you can play along. And anyone who's watching can always vote in a poll. Well, let's do a poll right away. Let's see. Are you planning to see Fantastic Four this weekend? Are you planning to see FF this weekend? Yes. And then, hold on. Then yes, multiple times. And then yes, but not this weekend. And then not seeing it in theaters. And again, as I just said, anyone who's watching can vote in a poll. You don't have to be a member to vote in a poll. Okay. All right. So yes, R.I.P. Ozzy Osbourne. Celebrities die in threes. It's scary and freakish how true that is. The Avatar trailer will be playing exclusively in front of Fantastic Four in theaters. However, I did hear that it will be online. It will officially debut on Monday. When I go and see Fantastic Four, I'm going to close my eyes so I can't see the trailer, and then I'll react to it and do a breakdown on Monday. All right. Hey, Lena. Oh, look at you. You're ready for the Wonder Woman conversation. Fantastic. Okay, so here we go. When we go. So let's see here. Story. As always, at the end of each section, I'll answer your questions and comments. And at the very end, we do an Ask Me Anything. Story number 1. Boop. We're back to the boops, baby. We were doing a couple of live streams that were focused on just one topic. Gareth, you're always so generous. And I always love seeing the Golden Girls when you post as your avatar picture. So we're back to the boops. And of course, as always, we've got the chapter times. All right, let's go through it. So the Rotten Tomatoes score, it is starting out at 89. It was 88 for a little bit. It's going up, it's going down, but it hasn't moved significantly from this spot. It was at 87, 89. I think it'll go down a little bit when the movie comes out. That's just the nature of Rotten Tomatoes. But I do think that it's starting. Oh, thank you, Gookie. Love to you in India as well. Since it's starting so high up in the 80s, I think it will remain in the 80s. It's not going to fall out of the 80s. I'm going to cheat a little. Blix, my goodness, Blix. Thank you. That's your generosity. You and Gareth, that's just incredible. The generosity of this community is amazing. That's why I donate memberships myself once a week, because you guys are just incredible. You're so kind. You're so kind. Oh, I put a little heart out there to you guys. Okay. So I'll just jump ahead a little bit. I think it's going to end up exactly where Superman is. I think that this movie is the same as Superman. It's just Marvel and DC's version of the exact same movie. And we're going to get to that, but that's my thesis statement, and I'm sticking to it. So yeah, I will say, based on the Rotten Tomatoes score, I was pretty surprised that it was only an 89, because the very first social media reactions from the junket crowd on Friday were insane. They were like, it's the most beautiful, striking film I've ever seen. And I'm like, wow, it's amazing they hid that in the trailers. Bae, it's so nice to see you, and thank you. And hey, Brooke. Yeah, I was like, if this is such a visually stunning film, why didn't they include any of that in the trailers? There is that one gorgeous shot going around of Johnny Storm reflected in the face of the Silver Surfer in some kind of cosmic forbidden romance, which I'm actually kind of interested in. And I think that is a really amazing shot. But it's weird that Theater Kid Superman started out about the same, actually. I think it started like about 86. Thanks, Riley. 89 is excellent. It's very good. But I thought with all the praise that this was getting out of the gate, it would be in the 90s when it started. I thought it would be like a 92 or a 95. Who knew? Even maybe 100% with the way things were going. Oh, okay. So I don't want to get ahead of myself in the conversation here. I have a couple of theories. I've been observing. Okay. Let me close the poll and get if you're going this weekend. So, 53% of you are seeing it this weekend, and only 9% of you are seeing it multiple times. Isn't that interesting? That only about 60% of you are seeing it in theaters this weekend. 19% of you refuse to see it in theaters. That's a decent number. But 18% of you plan to go, but just not this weekend. Interesting. I really do feel it's going to perform exactly like Superman. Hopefully, if maybe. Blix again? My God, Blix, you're the rainmaker. I love it. That's extremely generous of you. Thank you so much. Wow. 100 memberships from Blix today. That's incredible. If you would like a free membership, the more you interact with this channel, the better your chances are of receiving one. I don't select who gets free memberships. YouTube does. So if you've been a member in the past, if you comment a lot, if you like videos, if you're subscribed, it will pick you and give you a membership. Okay, so somebody said to me when I said we were going to cover the Rotten Tomato score, one of you said, hey man, Metacritic is where it's at. Sarko just says that you're maxed out on your movie going. That's fair. All right, so Metacritic. Here's what Metacritic looks like. I've never really looked at Metacritic, and I was surprised. So Metacritic has it at 65, which is called generally favorable. And so you can see that Metacritic does what we've always wanted Rotten Tomatoes to do, and that they have 3 categories, which is it's fantastic, that it's only medium, and then that it's bad. And the yellow is the medium. So it's got a decent number of it's good, a decent number of it's medium, and then very few people are like it stinks. So, and then I was like, well, what's Superman on Metacritic? Oh my God, it's 68 on Metacritic. I thought that was nuts. You know, I'll tell you why Metacritic hasn't caught on. And David just says it's always low. There ain't no studio in the world who wants to quote these numbers. Come see Superman, it's a 68. You'd be like, that sounds like I should wait for streaming or digital. So Rotten Tomatoes has better numbers because, and that's the thing. I think a lot more people, if you give them the option of a medium tomato, like you could eat it, they would choose that. But like, I myself have this dilemma as a Rotten Tomatoes critic. It's very unlikely that I'm going to give a movie a Rotten Tomato because that's just so aggressive. Like, I would have to think it really stinks. Although I did give Jurassic World Rebirth a Rotten Tomato because I thought that was pretty bad. But it's unusual. It's, I think that's what... So we're always saying that Rotten Tomatoes should use the same structure, but now that I see it in action, I would definitely advise them against using this because I think it just, it would make the numbers too low. And I think that Rotten Tomatoes, it works better for them this way. So yes, so I don't think Metacritic is ever going to be a tool of the industry for this reason alone. It's just, the numbers just look too bad. So yes, as many of you are pointing out, this is right where Thunderbolts lives. Thunderbolts ended up at 88. Thunderbolts started in the 90s. People were going nuts over Thunderbolts. And that's kind of the problem with Thunderbolts. And that's what Thunderbolts, you need a good Rotten Tomatoes score to move forward, but I think it's no longer a situation where it's a good sign for box office necessarily. Because Thunderbolts couldn't have better audience scores. It was incredible. And yet, it didn't materialize at the box office. In fact, it did poorly. So a strong Rotten Tomato score, it's interesting. A negative Rotten Tomato score would be a real problem, but a positive one doesn't necessarily mean the movie's going to do well at the box office. And even look at that audience score. That's amazing. I do think scores that Marvel's brand is damaged. And I was surprised. To see negative reviews coming in for Fantastic Four, again, considering how positive the social media reactions were. Hi, Isaiah. I have a real problem with social media reactions for that reason. But I do want to have an interesting conversation here about Rotten Tomatoes critic scores. But next I want to talk about Superman. So Superman, where is Superman? Woohoo! Pooperman! There he is. He settled at 83. And I suspect that by the end of the day, hey, thanks, Bubbles, when, look at that. That has 434 reviews, and Fantastic Four only has 105. Once Fantastic Four gets to having over 400 reviews, I think it'll be very close to Superman, and hopefully have the same high audience score. Although I don't know. We'll see. Marvel is having a little bit of a problem right now. But I do feel that these are going to be almost exactly the same. Now, what's interesting is that I do think that comic book movies are doing a little bit better on Rotten Tomatoes. It was rough for a little bit there. It seemed that critics had finally turned on comic book movies in the review space, whereas before they had been accused of being a little bit maybe too kind to them. What I see is I think that you're getting more people who are in the review business who are comic book fans, and that includes me, by the way. So we're a little bit kinder to these movies. I think you're missing the reviewers who are more like the normies and the casual audience, who have no affiliation or affinity for comic books. Because I think the nostalgia factor, it's really fun if you love these things growing up and still to this day to see them brought to life on the big screen. And I think it makes you a more forgiving audience member. So I think that that's a little bit of an issue that I'm seeing kind of like emerge. I will be curious to see what the demographic breakdown is. Superman skewed very male, but Vanessa Kirby and Pedro Pascal, there is a chance that Fantastic Four could appeal more to female audiences. Let's see. I'm seeing a little bit more. Thank you, Wiki Nomad. I had said that, Fantastic Four is a different audience than Wicked, but I am seeing a crossover in like some kind of like the interest there. So that could help the movie, but at the same time, would it shed some of its foundational? Smooch to you too, Wiki Nomad. Mwah, mwah. Who loves you, baby? There are many of us who like both, like Wanda's attorney and myself, but we are rare. We're rare. A lot of women don't care for this type of movie, which is unfortunate. I can't change the way people think, man, but you just have to realize the way that things are. Also, I do think the conservative crowd had a problem with this movie, and I think the conservative crowd is going to have a problem with this movie. And I think that I'm curious to see how it impacts both films. As I said when I was covering Superman, blue states go to the movies more than red states. And so there's only so much money that the blue states can drum up. So the way that a movie does exceptionally well is if it can pull in the red states and if it can activate the red states. Then it gets all the money. That's what you want to do. Hey, Moondeval. So we'll see. I'm not sure how Fantastic Four is going to perform internationally. I'm curious. Obed, I signed up for all of the alerts for the clothing companies that were doing Fantastic Four clothing to try and get that damn sweater. And by the time, I never got the alert from her universe, and by the time that I realized it had gone on sale, it was back ordered until September. So I'm just going to have to wear regular blue. Although I see other people already wearing the sweater, and I like to do my own thing, and so I wouldn't want to wear the sweater if everybody else was already wearing the sweater. But I'm kind of annoyed about it because I really wanted to wear the sweater. Some of you tweeted that I would look very good in the sweater, and I appreciated that you thought of me. So I was annoyed that I missed it. They were like, you can have it in September. And I was like, that's useless to me. Hot Topic has a lot of merch, but it has to look good from here up because of the way I film my videos. And so a lot of the merch, you just can't see it. All right, so as I said, I feel like you got the same movie here opening 2 weeks apart, which I think is just absolutely nuts. I think that this is the exact same version of the same movie. I think Marvel and DC made the same movie and then for some dumb reason decided to open them 2 weeks apart. and I'm very nervous as to what it's going to do to their box office. Maybe one will just be the winner, but I think that there's a chance that, the same crowd is interested in both movies. So I think Superman, there is some fear that it could drop considerably this weekend. I mean, I don't know. There might be some fans who are like, I have my phone on Do Not Disturb. Why? All right. I never should have linked my phone and my computer. That was a huge mistake that I regret to this day. I should just unlink it. But yeah, I think there are some fans who will it's a little bit like Barbenheimer, where, some people are trying to support their fandom. So you might have some people do that. So we'll see what they decide to do. Oh, it's just a call from, I sign up for alerts for New York City. And so they just call me occasionally. It's like an automated service. Hey, Nova Star, I see your Sue Storm avatar there. I loves it. And then Kamasubi, thanks for joining. And then Raphael says, I'll watch F4 tomorrow because it will be the first day available in original language here in Italy. Oh, that's fantastic. And then Jay Garcia says, do you think that Disney is sacrificing Fantastic Four like they did with Elio to undercut competition? I'm sure they are. I am 100% positive that that's what they're doing. That's right, I'll say it. Maybe 99, just to give them the benefit of the doubt. But there's no other good reason on God's green earth to open this movie 2 weeks after Superman, except to undercut Superman and try and keep it from getting to a good box office at the end of the day. Because they're hurting their own movie. It's better to come out first, and then it's better at least to have a little bit of time between the two of them. I'm very curious to see how the box office goes down this weekend, because I'm very curious to see what happens to both movies. Now let's take a look at the box office preview. Travis, I'm glad I got you to see Superman. I think it's a really fun movie. I like it a lot. Mr. Andrew says, do you think they succeeded with Elio? I think they did to a degree. Elio really underperformed, but I think they did. Thank you, X-Men Superfan. I'm glad you like my purple sweater. I love it very much. Okay, so here is the box office preview, just to give you an idea. We'll talk about this again, of course, on Friday when we see the Thursday night numbers. Now, there's no way it's going to top Minecraft. That's still the biggest opening of the year to date, at 162.7. Lilo and Stitch, I don't think it's going to get to Lilo and Stitch either at 146. Now, the real question is, can it top Superman? That's what we're going to be looking at, 125. I think the real question is above or below Superman. It's looking like it's going to clear 100 million. It's going to clear the century mark, which is excellent. It would certainly be better than the last two Marvel movies performed. And Jurassic World Rebirth is kind of, right there at 92. So it would like to obviously do better than Jurassic World Rebirth. Captain America came in right around there at 88.8. There's Roman 115, I think, is a pretty good guess. I don't think it's going to top Superman either, Psycho, to be honest with you. Every time Superman had an embargo lift, it trended. It trended when the social media embargo lifted. It trended, when the fan screenings were over. Fantastic Four has not been able to trend top 10 for the past couple of days. I've been keeping an eye on it. Every time they have some kind of, news, it's not able to get into the top 10. It had a big premiere last night. They live streamed it on Disney Plus, which might have been a mistake, actually. I think they should have live streamed it. Maybe they want to make sure they get normies to go. But I think they should have live streamed it on social media to push the tweeting. But it didn't tweet at all. It didn't trend. I was shocked. I was shocked with the premiere last night and the social media embargo lifting for the bulk of the reviewers that it didn't trend top 10. It was weird. It was bizarre. So it's interesting. Let's do a poll. I know you guys love a good poll. Where do you think Fantastic Four will open? So, under 100 million. Then we'll do 115 million-ish. And we'll do match Superman. Around 125, and then we'll do top Superman, 125 plus, or no, 130 plus. They would have to do something like that. And by the way, again, anyone who's watching can vote in a poll. Hey, Davison. Thanks for joining. Lawson, I'm so glad you enjoyed the movie. Joe says, I told my friend who doesn't read comics that the MCU is in the same position a comic is in after a defining run is ended. That's an interesting observation. Well, no, I don't think that it is. I think it depends on it. I think it's like when you replace the old creative team with one that's not as good. If you were bringing in a banger new writer and artist, it would be, I think, a different situation. Let's see here. So let's do questions and answers. I think we're for this section. Okay? So Riley says, hey, Grace, on the topic of Marvel, did you see Feige's viral interview making headlines? Yes, we talked about it yesterday. I don't know if it's a good idea to acknowledge. I mean, I guess that, obviously you have to acknowledge the mistakes. Lawson, did I thank you for that? Thank you for gifting that membership. Let's see here. Alexander says, Reddit box office trackers say there's data that F4 is tracking for over 140. Reddit box office trackers are very accurate. Well, I'm not familiar with their game, so I'll have to take your word for it. That would be incredible. That would be fantastic if it did over 140. That would be amazing. But again, I told you, I know a lot of people who aren't going. So it's hard to reconcile. Did they accurately predict Superman? Grace will see the film on Thursday, Rodney. Wiki Nomad says, is 3 movies in the theaters at the same time too much for an actor? Well, I think that Pedro Pascal has a little bit more of an issue with some of his political statements. But, I think he's speaking to things that are very important to him. So, he backed Rachel Zegler with her situation. And I think, as long as you're aware of the choices that you're making and you're going in with open eyes, let's see how it works out for him. Ivan says an outlet gave it a good reaction, but then gave it a bad review. That's interesting. I'm not quite sure why that is. I will tell you that I know that the press, the PR offices for the studios pay more attention to social media than they do, I think, other areas. Social media is something they're very interested in, and they pay attention to that more than they do on YouTube and things like that. And I'm sure they don't read most of the reviews. Let's see here. Hold on. Okay, let's see here. So Fahad says, don't forget that Fantastic Four was originally the May release. Yeah, maybe that would have done better in May, and it would have come out before Superman. Maybe they should have kept it there. Fernando says, I'm watching F4 twice this weekend while attending Comic-Con for the first time. What a weekend, Fernando! Excited to watch it with fellow convention goers in San Diego. You're going to go to that AMC, right? Have a fantastic time. That should be a very special weekend for you. Let's see here. Paul says, do you think that the classic Americana feel will push away international audiences like it did for Superman? Well, I don't know if the film's political at all or not. I've told you in the past that like Mrs. Maisel and Mad Men have actually done very poorly in the ratings, even though they are wonderful throwbacks to that same time period. So I'm not sure, but this is a futuristic take on it. And of course, The Incredibles was extremely popular. Travis is saying it's going to be 135, baby. Let's see. Allegedly, Danny is clearly a Marvel fan, saying you herald F4's beginning. I don't know. Let's see what happens at the box office. I don't know. I think I'd be surprised if they could coexist. Or if they do coexist, they'll both have diminished box office as a result. X-Men Superfan says, do you people have Marvel burnout or a superhero burnout? I think it's a superhero burnout. I really do. I think it's too much of the same thing. Hollywood loves to run a good idea into the ground. It's one of their favorite things to do. And then Grancy says, do you think that Pedro Pascal will make Latinos go to see this movie? Latinos are well, some people pointed out the Latinos particularly drive family films. And I don't really know if Fantastic Four plays as a family film for young kids, I'm not sure, I'll be curious to see if he does bring in that demographic. We'll see. That demographic has been notoriously difficult to cater to. They like what they like, and it's hard to predict. I guess they like family movies is one thing that we've noticed as a pattern. But when Hollywood has tried to directly cater to them in the past, particularly in the horror space, it has not worked out for them. All right. It's all about family, Sherm, but I don't think in a way that kids would enjoy. Like, hey, do you want to see your parents work out the family budget? And you're like, not really. Okay, let's see here. Where do you think that Fantastic Four will open? 41% of you think about 115, slightly below Superman. 22% think it will match Superman. And 18% of you think it'll be under 100 million, whereas only 17% of you think it will top Superman. Okay, so most of you feel it will be over 100. That's great. Like 80% of you feel it'll be over 100 million. But most of you feel it will be right at Superman or a little bit below. So we'll see. Gerardo, as a Hispanic, points out that there are a lot of conservative Hispanics who might take issue with some of the things that Pascal has said. It's hard to tell. Let's see. And then Barbara is a DC fan who's going to make sure she supports Superman so that Superman does well this weekend at the box office still. I'm sorry, I missed your super chat. Let me go back and look at it, Buffalo. Morphed says, more like mid to crap stories burnout. I think that's very true. Did someone just give... Michael! Michael, it's so good to see you. Thank you. That's so generous of you. Thank you, Danny. Cool guy. Thank you for gifting those memberships. Hey, Billy. Okay, let me see here. All right. So, Aided Buffalo says, what about nostalgia for normals who watched the first movie? I don't think those movies ever did particularly well. I don't think anybody longs for the days of the former Fantastic Four movies. That was one of the reasons that Chris Evans could be recast as Captain America. And then Sahib says, if Wanda never comes back, you're done with Marvel? That would be sad. But I mean, I think that's a real possibility. All righty. All right. Doc Hayes, look at you. Double feature kind of. Superman this weekend and F4 on Tuesday. Oh, yeah. You're going to get the discount Tuesday. That, of course, will be when a lot of people see Fantastic Four for sure. Okay, let's see here. And then Trace says, if Fantastic Four can't match or beat Superman with the added boost of Doomsday, do you mean Galactus? Then I think Marvel and Feige is truly in trouble. I think Galactus is a stupid villain. I mean, I'll wait till I actually see him with his hat on. But I think that... I think Galactus is a real, not for normies. Hey, Leonardo, thank you very much for that. I think that, Galactus is one of those things where you're trying to convince someone to read comics and then they see Galactus and say, I'm out. It's a hard sell. Now, let's go to the next story of the day. We got more comic book stuff to discuss. Look at Gap saying, don't you shade Galactus. I'm sorry, I think he's a stupid character. Let's see. Story number 2. Boop. Yeah. So, look at this. What's going on here? Wonder Woman. James Gunn swore that she's not going to be coming anytime too soon, and yet the plot thickens. So, it was revealed yesterday that Anna Nogueira, the screenwriter of Supergirl and Teen Titans, is now also the screenwriter of Wonder Woman. Now, this was a hard thing to react to because this woman is a former actress, or I think she's actually still acting a little bit. She's a very good friend of James Gunn, and she has never written a produced screenplay. She wrote a short, and she's never written anything else. So we have no idea what the quality of her work is. Everyone says Supergirl is good, and maybe it is good, but we don't know for sure. I continue to think that there's a very good chance that James Gunn is using a writer like this because, well, she's a playwright, that's true. But I think that she's someone who is maybe, more willing to work with James Gunn, that he can still have extreme control over the scripts. I wouldn't go so far as to say control her score as, because I think that's too negative. But I think a lot of other very successful writers or very established writers would be like, dude, who's writing the screenplay, you or me? But I think that, I think here Gunn, and he has admitted to working very closely with the writer of Wonder Woman, and now we know who it is. And I think that heavy influence is a good way to say it, Rashad. I think that this allows Gunn to, Gunn can't write everything, but he can get pretty close. Although, as I said after I saw Superman, if he does such a good job, as good a job on Superman as he did with everything else, I would be fine with that. Like, until he messes up, I'm going to be like, you write whatever you want, Gunn. I do worry about him writing Wonder Woman. He's so all over the place when it comes to female characters. His Lois Lane was so wonderful, but yet I had a lot of problem with some of his other female characters, as always. So that's what I wanted to say about James Gunn. I feel like, I would say, I would wonder if he would even get a writing credit, or maybe not, because they'd have to pay him for a writing credit. But I think this to me is seeming like a partnership. So let's see. I hope she's a wonderful writer. It would be great. I would love to see more women behind the scenes as screenwriters and directors and executives being able to contribute to male-dominated genres. Because, right now, guys are like, no, not a woman being involved. And we're like, come on, maybe she's good. And so far, for the most part, they haven't been. All right, so fast-tracked. It seems like they're really moving on this, or perhaps James Gunn is working to I don't know how much free time this man has. He just announced that he's going to become an influencer, and he is going to be not only rewatching all of the Peacemaker episodes for season 1, and with his wife, who, although to be fair, is the star of the female star of Peacemaker, they're going to be doing videos on YouTube to recap not only the original season, but then when the new season starts, he's going to be doing his own breakdown videos with his wife and special guest stars. It's a choice, I think you got to be careful about being overexposed. And again, are we supporting DC here, or like making all of James Gunn's dreams come true? He's like, maybe, why can't it be both? And you're like, I don't know. I liked Superman so much that I'm fine. I'm fine with it. I'm like, do what you want, buddy. It's fine. But I just think it's very funny. So yes, that's what he's going to be doing. It's a lot. It's a lot. But hey, if he can make it all work, that's great. So it seems like, I think that Wonder Woman is another way to establish that, yes, this new DC is happening. No matter what happens at the box office, oh, look, here comes Wonder Woman. And I think it's working to a degree. We're like, all right, who's Wonder Woman going to be? So on that note, there are fan favorites that are emerging. So I think, James Gunn is clearly a fan. He's very much in the space. David Corenswet was fan casting. And, it's not like he tries to think too much outside the box. Thanks, Tina. So I think that he's probably for sure looking at these ideas, the people that the internet is putting forward, and they're actually very good choices, I think. I think they're interesting choices, and they're smart choices. So the internet has decided that it's probably down to Adria Arjona, who there is not only, she's getting a lot of heat off of Andor, but also, of course, she's in a relationship with Jason Momoa, who not only is the new Lobo, but has an extremely good relationship with Warner Brothers. So I'm sure that's very beneficial to her. But then also, of course, Elizabeth Debecki. Look at that photo. I can't tell if that was photoshopped or not, but that's incredible. So Elizabeth Debecki, I've been seeing a lot of heat for her. I looked at one photo, and so the algorithm might be feeding that to me now on social media, but I don't care. That's pretty amazing. And that's right, Psycho. They've both, let's see, these are the actors, this is who they'd have to match. This is who Wonder Woman would have to match. Corenswet and Pattinson. Now, yes, they've both worked with James Gunn, but we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Where's my arrow? All right, so career standing. Adria Arjona could not be hotter right now, thanks to Andor. She is in a beautiful place. She just landed a hot new gig, which is the third story of the day. We'll talk about that in a moment. It could help or hurt her in this situation. But she's doing really, really well. Elizabeth Debecki, not so much. Elizabeth Debecki, she was in Christopher Nolan's Tenet, but she just doesn't get a lot of work. She's never really quite connected with audiences. I've never seen her look this good before, though. I think black hair might really suit her. I think the blonde hair that she usually sports might not be the best choice for her. But yes, they both have connections to James Gunn. Adria Arjona was in a movie that his brother directed and he produced a while ago. There they are together. And then also Elizabeth Debecki, of course, was in Guardians of the Galaxy. She created Adam Warlock. So yeah, so you guys want a poll? The people yearn for a poll, Mason. They do. So let's do it. Who should be Gunn's Wonder Woman? Adria Arjona, Elizabeth Debecki, or someone else? Or keep looking. And again, I'm so glad to see so many of you tuned in. Anyone who's watching can vote in the poll. I love Katie O'Brien, but I don't see Katie O'Brien getting the Wonder Woman gig. She could be an Amazon. She could be a Wonder Woman villain, which I'd love to see. She'd be a great Circe, actually. But I don't think she's going to be Wonder Woman. I think we're not quite there yet. Although Jonathan Bailey's doing a lot. He's making a lot. He's breaking down a lot of walls, breaking through a lot of ceilings. Okay, so as you guys vote, let's talk height. Everybody's talking about height. Okay, so Elizabeth Debecki is a tall drink of water at 6'2". That's right, Elizabeth Debecki, thanks for bringing that up, Juan. Elizabeth Debecki won every award there is for playing Princess Diana, and it made me like her a lot more as an actress. In fact, oh, thank you, Blix, another 10 on top of the 100. Thanks, Novastar. But Elizabeth Debecki on The Crown was incredible. She became Princess Diana. She did a really beautiful job, and again, won tons of awards. That makes me a little bit more in the Elizabeth Debecki camp, interestingly enough. Thank you for reminding me about that. But height-wise, she's quite good, because David Corenswet is 6'4", and Robert Pattinson is 6'1". So she's right there with those guys, right there in the middle. And then poor Adria Arjona is 5'7". But that's okay. As someone who's 5'6", you leave her alone. You leave Adria Arjona alone. She can put high heels on or stand on a block of wood. Leave her alone. Oh, that's right, Classic Bunny Librarian. She'd be playing Diana twice. That's funny. You guys are really selling me on this Elizabeth Debecki casting. So 5'7" is a little short. But I don't know. I think she'd be great. So let me tell you the other thing I want to talk about. Where's my arrow? Where's me arrow? There it is. Warrior Princess. I gotta tell you, I think Adria Arjona, to me, has a softer look to her. And I think perhaps before I went live, I kind of liked her a little bit more for the role. But hot damn if you didn't sell me on Elizabeth Debecki. Especially when you bring in her work as, Diana. But here's the thing. I got to be honest with you. I don't really know if Elizabeth Debecki could carry her own Wonder Woman movie. Would she be a great Wonder Woman in a movie with David Corenswet and Robert Pattinson? Yes, she would. But I'm not quite sure if she could sell an entire movie. I'm not sure how she would do in action. I'm not sure. I'd bring them in and test them. Put them in the uniform. Stand them next to Corenswet. By the way, did you see the most recent How It Should Have Ended? That was hilarious. When Superman was doing the Lex Luthor office scene, and then Batman showed up, and he was like, "Let me have my own thing, Batman." And then Batman said, "Literally everybody wants me here." And I was like, "That's funny because it's true." So I thought that was very funny. But yeah, so I think these are, honestly, I'll be honest with you, I don't think you could go wrong with either of these choices. I think they're both excellent. I think James Gunn is very fortunate that the internet did a really good job for him. And I like both of them. But I'm really kind of starting to like this. I think this is pretty amazing. So, I mean, again, I don't know if this photo is heavily photoshopped though, because I ain't never seen Elizabeth Debecki look like this. I'm not sure how they did this. I'm like, is this a real photo? But it doesn't matter because of Hollywood magic. I can take this photo and hand it to my hair and makeup team and say, make it a reality. All right, let me close it, the poll. All right, here we go. All right, 35% of you say, keep looking. 34% want Adria Arjona and 30% want Elizabeth Debecki. Oh my God, it's basically thirds. That's with DC, you never, but I think we all come on board whoever they picked. I think these are good choices. I like them a lot. Does anybody, let me get rid of the height so you can see me a little bit better here. Sorry. Does anybody questions or comments about this? Joe Haas says, I think this should be one. You think you said this before, but Wonder Woman should be the embodiment of speak softly and carry a big stick. Someone's been reading Tom King. I like that title. He's really nerfing it though on the Trinity title. That thing's god awful. Wonder Woman's daughter, so bad. Score says, should they debut Ares as the villain? No, I don't want Ares as the villain. He was the villain in the first Wonder Woman movie. It's got to be different. They can't just do all the same thing all the time. It's got to be like Circe or Giganta or, I guess they already did Cheetah. But Wonder Woman has a really good rogues gallery, actually, and she doesn't get no respect for it. Although I hated what he did with Circe on Creature Commandos. I was like, what in the name of She-Ra is this garbage? And I like She-Ra. Travis says, while I love Elizabeth Debecki, not sure she's right for the part. It gives me Adrian Pilecki vibes. Oh, I remember that. That's kind of mean. I don't know if I'd go that far. But I can be kind of mean too, so I respect it. Let's see. I would love an accurate Cheetah. I can't get too upset with Cheetah because a number of you said that Kristen Wiig looked like me in the role. X-Men Superfan says, what if Wonder Woman has a love interest like Steve Trevor, Tom Tresser, or Trevor Barnes? I don't know how you could possibly top Chris Pine as Steve Trevor. I think that would be very difficult to do. But I like what they're doing. I don't know. They fridged him over in the comics. Joel says, let's give Debecki Big Barda. No, if Kitty O'Brien's going to get anything, it should be Big Barda. Manpreet says, who do you think should direct it? Someone who's good at action. That to me is the most important. Raphael says, they can't keep doing the same thing every time. Marvel, how if we just do the Phoenix? That's true. Oh, look, Chaotic Good Smurf wants a Bruce Wayne Diana romance. Oh, I don't know how I feel about that. I always have mixed feelings on that. Kate Herron's an interesting choice, Faye. I would love to see. What is Kate Herron even doing? Where did she go? I don't know about Greta Gerwig. I love Greta Gerwig, but I don't know if she can handle action. And also, I think a lot of guys would be like, I ain't seeing that. And then Wiki Nomad says, I'm bummed because we're not going to get the amazing Wonder Woman theme song anymore. Oh, yeah. I don't know. Maybe they could do it. Right? I got to see Hans Zimmer shred it out. He loves to shred. Let's see here. And then Dimitri says, I love Wonder Woman. I'm hoping we get the other Amazons as well. Same here. I'd love to explore the Amazons more. Adam's fear. Tony Gilroy can't direct action to save his life. It was one of the biggest problems with Andor. Let's see here. And also, Tony Gilroy doesn't just direct. He has to be a writer-director. And they already have a writer. X-Men Superfan says, Wonder Woman fans hate Superman and Wonder Woman and Batman and Wonder Woman. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Wonder Woman, I gotta tell you, I like what Tom King has done with her and Steve Trevor. I don't always love Tom King, but when he's good, he's very, 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 very good. All right, let's get to the next story. Hold on, I got a lot of stuff to close here. All right, story number 3. Boom, baby! All right, so speaking of Adria Arjona, she just landed a very hot gig. So, Michael B. Jordan is remaking the Thomas Crown Affair for the 3rd time. So, most people are familiar with the Pierce Brosnan and Rene Russo version, which now, after looking into the story, I kind of want to watch again. But of course, it was originally a very sexy caper with Steve McQueen and Faye Dunaway. And the storyline is that the guy character, the lead, is this very rich playboy. But he's bored, so he decides he wants to pull off these art thefts. He steals very famous paintings. And Faye Dunaway, the female character, Faye Dunaway, Rene Russo, is an insurance investigator, and she's trying to reclaim and find out who stole the art because she'll get it's a little bit like To Catch a Thief as well, I guess, which I recently rewatched. I love that movie. I watch it all the time, from Alfred Hitchcock. And so as an insurance investigator, she'll get a little bit of a bonus if she can get it. And she knows it's him, but she can't prove it. But they have a romantic torrid affair as they play a cat and mouse game of what will happen. Really, really good story. And so this will be remade for the third time. Not only, this one came out in 1999. This is a 60s movie. But not only this, but they're going to have it with characters of color. And so I think, that'll be really interesting to redo classics in that way. I think that's an interesting idea that Michael B. Jordan is approaching. Hey, Jen in Arizona. Oh, is that you in Arizona in your picture there? You look like you're living your best life. I love it. Okay, so Michael B. Jordan shall be directing. There he is directing on the last Creed movie. It's very difficult to direct when you're also acting. Joseph Gordon-Levitt couldn't do it, but it's hard. It's hard to do. I think this is going to theaters, Benjamin. But I think that Michael B. Jordan did a great job directing the last Creed movie, and that was a good film for him to cut his teeth on because he'd already made 2 of them. So this is great. I think he's going to do a great job. I like that photo of him. Now, he already had a co-star, Taylor Russell, and they are, in fact, in the middle of filming. Taylor Russell was in Luca Guadagnino's Bones and All. She'd made a couple of really commercial, mainstream, B horror movies. Hey, Yoshi. But so this was, Luca Guadagnino opposite Timothée Chalamet really kind of gave her a little bit more cachet as an actress, and this was her big break. So the fact that she had to leave over creative differences is pretty shocking to me. Because what possible creative differences could she have that would get her kicked out of this? I mean, she sure could make a suggestion, but when Michael B. Jordan said, I don't want to do that, I think she should have been like, okay. This was such an important movie for her career. And the fact, it's as bad as when, what do you call it? Phoebe Waller-Bridge, she had creative differences with Donald Glover and got kicked out of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the show. And that was a disaster as well. So I feel bad for Taylor Russell, and I'm surprised, I'd be curious. I mean, we'll probably never know, but I'm surprised that this happened, and it might not even have been her fault. Michael B. Jordan might have decided he wants somebody else, and so this was the nicest way to get rid of her. Maybe it just wasn't working. They did that on Back to the Future. They shot with Eric Stoltz for 2 weeks, and they were like, this guy is not Marty McFly. And they were right. I hope they weren't dating, because it would be extremely unprofessional for a woman to lose her acting job because she broke up with the director and co-star. That would be, I really don't want that for Michael B. Jordan. He's in a really great place, and that would just be horrific. It's really horrible that Michael Keaton kept Michelle Pfeiffer from getting the Vicky Vale role in the first Batman movie because they had dated. And he didn't want to work with her. Michael Keaton didn't want to work with Michelle Pfeiffer because he was worried about his wife at the time, or girlfriend at the time, being jealous. Which is horrible. But luckily, Michelle Pfeiffer was then available to be Catwoman, and by that time, Michael Keaton had broken up with the person he was, trying to protect that relationship with. So yeah. Kara, what is the Clayface breaking story? Let's see. Oh, Naomi Ackie. That's interesting, from Mickey 17. I don't know if that's a huge breaking story. Let's see. I thought she was very good in Mickey 17. And that, of course, is also a Warner Brothers film. Okay. You know what? What happened to Zoe Kravitz? That's my question. Where the heck is Zoe Kravitz? Are they going to do something with Catwoman or not? She was a great Catwoman, and I would prefer she be in the movie as Catwoman. But although it's not the same universe, unfortunately. All right, okay. So, they said, bye-bye, Taylor Russell. Hello, Adria Arjona. Best Catwoman, Dimitri, is by far and away Michelle Pfeiffer. And I don't think I don't know if there's a chance anyone will ever top her, because she's the most amazing Catwoman ever. But I did think that Zoe Kravitz did a really good job. I thought she was excellent in the role. Okay, so Adria Arjona, I think not only did she get this role off of the heat of Andor, but I think because everyone's saying she should be Wonder Woman. And I think that Michael B. Jordan is very smart. And he said, what if she is Wonder Woman? Then she'll be in my movie. And I think that's very clever. And if not, at least Adria Arjona was just in Andor, where everybody just absolutely fell in love with her. So great choice, really smart choice. Michael B. Jordan. This is I think an Amazon MGM movie. It's not a Warner Brothers movie, but very clever for Michael B. Jordan to be on top of that. I think that he's trying to recapture the heat off of Sinners, with, of course, Haley Steinfeld. And I think he sees how hot that was. So hot. So hot. The internet went insane for this couple. And I think, he's looking to recapture that magic. And I think that Adria Arjona, because Thomas Crown Affair is a very sexy story. And so I think that he wanted someone who would bring that kind of, very sexy appeal. Taylor Russell's very beautiful, but I don't know if she has the physicality that Haley Steinfeld and Adria Arjona have. And so I honestly feel this was the right decision for Michael B. Jordan. I feel very bad for Taylor Russell. I hope she can rebound somehow, but I think that Michael B. Jordan made a very strong choice here. Now that's interesting, Rashad. Why not just get Haley Steinfeld? Well, that brings me to my final point. If he brings in Haley Steinfeld, then he's just, then maybe Haley Steinfeld is the big new star. Or maybe they have to appear in everything together. By bringing in a different but similar actress, Michael B. Jordan makes sure that the focus is on him and that he is the constant. He is what makes things work. And I think that's very smart. This could really work for him. I think he's doing a beautiful job building up his career. I think that Michael B. Jordan, he really had a setback, unfortunately. Speaking of Fantastic Four, that's how long Michael B. Jordan's been working, when he was in Fantastic Four back in 2015. And I remember I was on that red carpet, a mini red carpet in New York for that movie. And he was very upset, with everybody. He was just in a bad place. I'm glad, and I think that really informed his Black Panther performance, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised if that's in there somewhere. But I think that he's been continuing to build a beautiful career, largely thanks to his partner in crime, Ryan Coogler, one of the great actor-director combos in Hollywood history. I don't know if Michael B. Jordan is A-list just yet. I think that Michael B. Jordan is certainly a name. I think he's certainly someone that gets attention. But I don't think he's like at the level of a DiCaprio or a Denzel just yet. But I think that a movie like this could put him there. He's directing this, he's producing this. I think it's really smart. I think there's a very strong chance that a nomination, that's right, John Thrasher. I think a nomination would be very beneficial to him for acting. But this is great. I hope he gets oh yes, classic movie lover. I really hope, and I think there's a very strong chance he will be nominated for Sinners, particularly because it's a dual role. If he's not nominated for Sinners for acting, I'm not saying he has to win, but if he doesn't even get a nomination, the Academy's going to be really called a lot of bad things. So, I think it's going to be great. Pie doesn't agree. I think you're wrong, Pie. If Demi Moore can get a nomination, Michael B. Jordan can get one for Sinners. Okay, so does anybody have any questions or comments about this story before we go to the Q&A? No, of course, I didn't say he was going to win, Pie. I just said he needs to be nominated. Juan Gabriel says Demi Moore has the career to back the nomination up. I would say at this point, so does Michael B. Jordan. Why doesn't Michael B. Jordan get more credit for the work that he's done? Creed, Killmonger. I mean, he's done an incredible, he has a very strong body of work, I think. K-Ra, I'm not sure if Coogler's going to win Best Director. I hope he does. There's never been, when I was talking recently about the Oscars and stuff like that, when I was talking about my top 10 movies of the year, there has never, ever been a black director who's won Best Director. They've been nominated, but no one's ever won, which I find pretty shocking. If Ryan Coogler has a good PR team, he will use that in his campaign because that's something that should be fixed. Future movie actor says, Adria Arjona is someone I like seeing get more things, so I agree. Working with Haley Steinfeld again would oversaturate the brand too much. Yeah, it would just seem like a redo. I disagree, Morphed, but you're entitled to your opinion, of course. I think we're ready for the Q&A. You guys are starting to ask me stuff that doesn't have anything to do with the story. All right. Let's go to the Q&A. We'll do 10 minutes. All righty. All right. Ask me your questions. Just Blaze Disney says, how was your Walt Disney World trip? Did you ride the new Tiana ride? I did. I had a wonderful time in Disney World. I never get tired of going there. And I thought the new Tiana ride was a delight. And I would love to go on it again, whereas I did not care for the original Splash Mountain. I thought the music and the setting was really beautiful. Although she needs a restaurant there. It's crazy that she doesn't have a restaurant there. Mika, I'm not sure. Maybe we'll cover the Margot Robbie Tim Burton story on Friday. That's the next live stream. NGN8, I did see the early weapons reactions. I don't think there's been actual reviews, have there? I think there's just been social media reactions. They're not doing most of the media aren't invited yet. This is probably for junket press, but I'm extremely excited to see it. Tina, I'm not sure who Tina Guo is. Let's see here. Besney, my day has been lovely so far. I hope your day is nice as well. That's very kind of you to say that. Classic Bunny Librarian, did I enjoy Epic Universe? You know, I feel that Universal still has way too long lines. The way they handle lines is difficult, and we did Express Pass. But unfortunately, you know, we really wanted to go on the Donkey Kong roller coaster and Harry Potter, but those don't go with Express Pass, and the lines were just too long for me and my family. So I didn't get to ride either of those attractions, which was a real bummer. Although, someone in my family said if we had ridden those attractions, would we ever come back to Epic Universe? And I think we all agreed we would not. I mean, I liked it, but it just still doesn't have the magic of Disney World. I did enjoy my day there, though. I thought I ate at if you go there, I would recommend taking the time to sit down and eat at I liked Pizza Moon, which everybody talks about. And I thought Monsters Unchained was an incredible attraction. But I thought that the restaurant, the Atlantic, was a really lovely sit-down experience. The windows in there are gorgeous, and the food was excellent, and it was raining, and it was just such a nice way to spend part of our day. X-Men superfan, that's an interesting question. I don't know what roles are potentially in Michael B. Jordan's future. Rashad likes the new Tiana ride. It's really charming. I still feel that Dr. Facilier should be there, but whatever. Benjamin, I don't think the Freakier Friday is the new Lilo and Stitch, but I do, you know, I gotta tell you, my family said no Fantastic Four, but they have purchased their Freakier Friday tickets, which I thought was very interesting. They're like, yeah, we'll see that movie. And I was like, what about Weapons on IMAX? Those tickets must be going on sale very soon. Let's see here. Danny Dumphy says, hi, Grace and BTT fam. Heart to all. Hope all are well. There's been a lot of film competition this summer. Even if nothing hits 1 billion, would you say this was a good summer for movies? That's an interesting question. I mean, the summer's not over, but I would say actually it was not a good summer for movies because I don't think there was enough. It feels very empty to me. There's just like this knot in July. But let's see how August goes. There are some really interesting things in August. Oh, Drago, I'm so sorry you're homesick. I hope you feel better. Oh, I got a lot of questions here. Hold on. Art Lover says, as an effort to relate, my young graffiti artist friend said Galactus was giving Stay Puft Marshmallow Men from Ghostbusters. That's a good comparison. I like that. But I mean, everybody knows who the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is, basically. That's a good comparison, though. That's funny. Raiswig, there are new interview with the Vampire Stills with the Lestat. Oh my God, as soon as we finish the live stream, I'm going to go look at them. Jico says, Grace, what are your thoughts on Disney's Lego making a sequel for the Disney Princess Lego Castle Quest? I don't know anything about that, but I'm glad that you're enjoying it. Some people really like those Lego movies. Fahad says, can a Marvel DC movie save the comic book movie business? Oh, like a crossover. No, I don't think they'll do it. Oh, Mr. Magic, you kind of made it. I think we're very far away from a Marvel DC crossover in the Hollywood space. I mean, I don't know. Let's see how the new comics sell in the fall. If you want them to do a Marvel DC crossover in Hollywood, go buy those 2 comics. Danny, I'm not sure what I'm having for dinner yet. I think I might be going out. Oh, Eric is also asking me about the new interview with the vampire photos. These must be spicy. Let's see here. MM92 says, I know you didn't review I Know What You Did Last Summer, but do you have any thoughts about it? I didn't see it. I was still recovering from my vacation, and I'm going right into Comic-Con and Fantastic Four, so I just missed those 2 movies. Mark wants to give a shout out to his fellow Foundation fans. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the new season. That's a good use of a super chat. Faye says, Grace, do you think we'll see Wonder Woman in Gunn's next film as a tease, the way we got Supergirl? No, they can't do that all the time. I think that would kind of lessen the ones that they have been doing. So I'm not sure when you're going to see, I'm not sure. I would love her to appear in a World's Finest movie, but that would basically be Batman v Superman. But who cares? I really want David Corenswet and Robert Pattinson together. I was rewatching clips from the Batman. Steven Soderbergh would be appalled. I was skipping around and watching segments, and I was like, Robert Pattinson's Batman is nuts. I love it. Hey, Michael Rivera. The Mutant Without Fear says, thoughts on Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil. I have not been reading it. I didn't like Elektra as Daredevil. That's actually what made me stop reading the comic, actually. And I usually like Chip Zdarsky. I'm not sure if I'm going to be at New York Comic Con. Probably not. It's hard to cover the conventions from the conventions, ironically. Kamasubi says, Grace, who is your favorite comic artist for each DC Trinity member? That's a tough question. You like Terry Dodson for Wonder Woman. I kind of like that. I'd say for Wonder Woman, I really like Clay Mann a lot. I think he does a great job on the new Tom King title. Hey, John, in London. You were at Disney in June and you also liked Tiana's ride? Oh, you rode it in a thunderstorm? You must have gotten pretty wet because a lot of that ride is outside. Let me see if I can. Oh no, I really liked going on Tiana. Future movie actor says Superman 2025 at present has had a consistent stream of success so far, and it's a pretty good space right now. We'll see if it keeps up. Indeed. Dane says, what was the best world in Epic Universe? I think Monsters, the Dark Universe land is the most atmospheric. But I have to tell you, I actually did not like spending a lot of time in there. I was surprised at that, and it made me get a little nervous for a villain's land in the Magic Kingdom that they're building to compete. My favorite land, I like the center area, which is really lovely to be in. I thought that carousel that they have was really charming. And I liked Super Mario Land, actually. I thought that was pretty good. I did not like How to Train Your Dragon Land. That just seemed like a lot of garbage. And I even liked those movies. And I liked Harry Potter Land, well, because it was basically being in Paris, and I love France, so that was fun. Ben 10, you'll love Disneyland. It's lovely. It's very different. Manpreet, I'm going to close my eyes when I see Fantastic Four so that I don't see the Avatar trailer so I can react. Michael Rivera, I do not think Poker Face will get renewed. Suave Vision says, hey Grace, do you think the hate on Marvel's wokeness will affect the Fantastic Four? We'll see. I think it's certainly in the danger zone, but, you know, it still might do quite well. Away says, what about Jonathan Bailey as Steve Trevor? You know, I thought he was flirting with Scarlett Johansson in Jurassic World Rebirth, and one of you said that he has amazing chemistry with everyone, and he does, it seems. So maybe he would actually be a very good Steve Trevor. My dad's a big fan of Chris Pine, and he really loved Jonathan Bailey and Wicked. Oh, let's see here. Think Noodles. I didn't see your member chat. Let me go back. Oh my goodness, I've missed a bunch of things. Let me go back here really quickly. Oh my goodness. All right, here we go, really quickly. Danilux has seen Superman 5 times in IMAX, saving the international box office from Sweden. Oh, that's great. I'm glad you love the movie so much. That makes me very happy. Mr. Magic says, hi Grace, I'm so late. Is it the end of the stream? It is, but don't worry, we'll have another live stream on Friday. Mary's also asking me about the Sam Reed stills. I gotta look at these. I love Sam Reed. He and Anthony Starr. I love them both so much. Again, Dane, I'll be seeing Fantastic Four on Thursday. Brett says, can we fold Apollo into the Wonder Woman lore? Oh, that would be interesting. That would be an interesting idea. Apollo and Midnighter, right? Riley Gag says, what would Hollywood schedule? Why would they schedule 3 big movies back to back? Well, because of the 4th of July holiday and Comic-Con, and then Superman wanted to be in there too. I think it's going to turn out to be a bad idea. Mr. Andrews wants to know what I think about the Stephen Colbert situation. I think it's really scary. I think you're looking at, the internet has made people be more truthful than ever before and encouraged mainstream people to do the same to be able to compete with internet pundits. And I think you're seeing companies finally start to say it's getting to be too much. But they don't realize that the general public wants that level of honesty. So I'm curious to see how it all goes down. Future movie actor says, how Superman 2025 does against FF will indicate how it does overall. You doubted Lilo and Stitch would hit $1 billion, so we shall see. That's true. Future movie actor, you're a big Superman supporter. I love to see it. Yeah, we'll see. I'd love Superman to be a success. I really want the new DC. I really liked what James Gunn did. Ryan Sanchez, there's a Gen V panel at Comic-Con. And no, Think Noodles, I never got to watch Ironheart. I'm afraid I never got to watch it. I'm going to keep an eye out on the Nielsen ratings. I think it was actually not on Nielsen for the first week, right? I'll have to double check. And then Pacific Host Highgay, I love that name, says, how can we estimate post-theatrical revenue? I always have my business hat on. Good for you. I think, you can, that's why we look and see how things are doing on the digital charts every week on Movie Math, to get an idea of how something's performing in the Nielsen space and in the digital space. And then we start to get an idea of how it's doing. And CB the Legend wants to go on record as saying that Fantastic Four will have a 300 million worldwide opening. That would be great. And then Sean says, I went to Disney World for the first time this May for my wife and I's first year anniversary. I don't like roller coasters, but I love Guardians. Epcot is great. What a great thing to do for your first anniversary. And I will agree, Epcot is fantastic. Not only does it have wonderful, wonderful attractions in the front of the park and Future World, but World Showcase. I think Main Street USA and World Showcase are just my 2 favorite places in Disney World to just be. It's just so wonderful. I'm so glad you and your wife had a good time. And the Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster is nuts in the best way possible. Oh, you're saying, oh, I see, Doomsday. Dr. Doom. The F4 promotion is focusing on Doomsday, revealing even the post-credit scene. Well, the post-credit scene will be on the internet tomorrow, probably, so be ready. Let's see. I think Marvel, that they've been burned by that game before, but let's see if it worked. But it's also worked for them, so it's hard to tell. Hey, Devin. All right, well, I better get going. I'm over the 10 minutes, but I love talking to you guys. So tomorrow, it'll be a little slow until I see Fantastic Four on Thursday. Then we'll be off to the races, and of course, I'll be working all weekend, actually, covering Comic-Con and Fantastic Four simultaneously. But the next live stream will be on Friday to go over the Thursday night box office for Fantastic Four. All right, have a great day, everybody. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.